Hi there, Lee Farnell here. Thanks for listening to Leading Your Best Life. In this session, I want to talk about chemicals and mental health and being in the best possible shape you can be mentally and physically and emotionally to lead the best possible life you can. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This came about based on a phone call I had with an old mate of mine this morning on the phone. Now, this mate of mine, way back in the 80s, literally had severe mental health problems to the point where at that point I knew nothing about mental health. I'll never forget sitting by a lake down in Shenton Park and him saying to me, Lee, everybody walking a dog is actually a spy for ASIO, and all Telstra vans actually have people in them that actually want to kill me. I went, what the hell is this? Now, my master's thesis talked about the relationship between family, work and leisure. And we said you needed to be getting air, you need to be getting oxygen from all three areas, family, work, leisure. And in this case, my mate lived and breathed for his job. His whole identity was tied up in the drama and the day-to-day excitement and the day-to-day oxygen he got from his job. And in this case, he was caught up in some internal political battle within the organisation he was in, and he got sacked, his boss got sacked, his life was gone. He had a nervous breakdown. Now, again, I didn't even know what a nervous breakdown was, and in fact, I found out later on that he'd eaten some leaves off a tree that basically tried to commit suicide. But he was in recovery at this point, but at that point, I didn't know he was having paranoia. And severe anxiety, and as part of all that, massive loss of identity. His whole reason for living was gone. He didn't know what was the purpose of my life anymore because he used to go down. He was a very hyper kind of guy anyway. And so I didn't know anything about this at this point in time. I was completely naive to mental health and certainly clinical conditions. And here we are, 40 years later, he's recovered, he had therapy, he had medication, and, he made an incredible recovery. And we're talking about it this morning, not about his situation, but about mental health in general. And we're talking about, the fight or flight response. The fight or flight response is that natural reaction that, when we're in the jungle, when we're evolving, we see a threat. Our whole sympathetic nervous system kicks in, adrenaline, noradrenaline, so we can run away. So we can all fight. We can either fight it or we can run away. And in the fighting and the running away, what happens is you burn up, as he said, you incinerate the adrenaline and the noradrenaline. The problem is, in today's age, when you perceive a threat, the adrenaline or noradrenaline kicks in for fight or flight, as in sympathetic nervous system, but it stays in the system. Now, chuck in some coffee, chuck in more stress during the day, or stress and the stress response, fight or flight response, and you build up. It compounds and it compounds and it compounds. And in fact, both Hans Selye, one of the original researchers in the area of stress, and he started to call it distress. There's overstress and understress. There's eustress and there's distress. Overstress, where I'm busy, I'm freaking out. Understress, I'm actually bored out of my brain. Nothing is stimulating me in this job at all. I wish I was somewhere else. In fact, my brain is somewhere else. I'm just going through the motions on the production line or doing the admin work or whatever it happens to be. But the fight or flight response is that reaction to, in many times, overstress and also distress. So the muscles are getting tenser and tenser. Now, my good friend Dr. Peter Simons has written a book on this called Brain Fuel Depletion. He talks about the whole brain fuel, the fuels of the brain, the neurochemistry. Now, what we know, now that we know this, because Peter's a good mate of mine from high school days and we've been mates ever since, the relationship between serotonin and dopamine, which are the happy chemicals. We get them when we're exercising, we get them when we're having fun, and certainly, at the end of a pod squad swim in the morning, we're all high on serotonin and dopamine, talk about natural high, and we wish each other happy Monday or happy Tuesday, and we give each other a high five, and people love that feeling at the end of the swim. In fact, I said yesterday at meditation class, we actually love that feeling in the last 100 of the 2K or 4K swim. Problem is you actually have to do the other 1900 before you get to that 100. And my meditation teacher had said the same thing. In the 20 minutes of meditation, the last 5 minutes is often the most important because there's a whole lot of processing going on in the meditation for that first 10, 15 minutes. And that last 5 minutes, you're getting a really depth. You're going into that zone. Sometimes they call it transcendence, but you're going deeper. But you have to do the first 15 minutes to get to the last 5 minutes. What's the point I'm making? I'm saying in this case, the serotonin and the dopamine are those happy chemicals, and you actually need good night's sleep and good relaxation to have those happy chemicals. And in fact, why do people start getting depressed? Is one, they're living on adrenaline. They're fight or flight, busy, building up. And even worse, what we know now is when you perceive your life is out of control or the situation is out of control, your cortisol level goes up, and cortisol goes up, and it actually suppresses the immune response and the inflammatory response. So if your cortisol levels are constantly elevated, then you're actually suppressing your white blood cells, phagocytes, and all the different immune system. So you're more likely to get sick in more ways than one, not just colds or flu or COVID, but even cancer, because we know that the cells are mutating, and every now and again cells mutate that aren't healthy mutations, but because of the suppression of the immune system and suppression of the white blood cells, phagocytes, and all these other components, those mutation cells start to grow, and that then leads to cancerous tumours. And then the tumour is so big the white blood cells can't attack it. So what does that mean? It means taking control and taking responsibility of your inner chemical world. And what does that also mean? It means taking control of your outer world to stop putting yourself in situations where it's fight or flight. Now, the problem we have with some people is their identity and their self-talk starts to get tied up with, I'm so busy, I'm so flat out. What they're really saying is, I'm so needed. People need me, the world needs me, I'm such an important person. Versus, no, you're okay the way you are, mate. You don't have to be busy. You don't have to be running around busy to prove to yourself, prove to the rest of the world, you're a useful, of value, important person. I know many people who just love talking about how busy they are. I got this on, I got this on, I got this on, and I've got this on. I'm so flat out, I'm so busy. Who are you talking to? You're telling yourself you're important. You want to tell the world you're important. External validation, internal validation. There's a strong link between, clearly, internal dialogue, desire to be validated by the external world, and constantly focusing on being busy in the external world so you don't actually have to turn the eyeballs inwards to take a look at yourself, as in what is going on inside of you. That relationship between internal dialogue, identity, who am I? I think that Donald Trump, they say the one person he's talking to is his dead father. Daddy, I'm important. Daddy, look at me. I know other people that I know, they're still talking and trying to impress their dead mummy or their dead daddy. They're 5-year-olds or 7-year-olds or 10-year-olds or 13-year-olds in a 70-year-old body, still trying to impress mummy or daddy. Get over it. Take a look inside. Cut the cord. There's a very powerful meditation called the cord cutting meditation. Who have you given power to? You need to take the power back from. Internal world work. If we're serious about leading our best life, I'm sorry to say, same with me, you had to turn the eyeballs inward. And that's where the whole concept of meditation, and in my case doing Vedic meditation, a mantra. Meditation of all types are fantastic, but the Vedic meditation that we've been doing in the last 3 or 4 weeks is just unbelievable. The mantra to shut the conscious mind off, or at least dampen it down and get deeper, cleaning out the kitchen cupboard, cleaning out the dust, cleaning out the rubbish, cleaning out those thoughts and subconscious thoughts that are in there that are driving you that you don't even know. Clean it out. Get calmer. Bring that fight or flight response down, down, down. Give the mind and body a chance to recover, which I was saying to my good mate today, I remember meeting a guy in New Zealand whose son had committed suicide, and he'd written a book on it. He'd set up a charity, and in fact he'd got depressed himself, clinically depressed himself over losing his son, which is of course completely understandable. He said, and I went to a doctor, and within about 2 seconds of saying, give me medication, he's going, what the hell, you barely know me, you want me to take these tablets? But besides that, he then also set up a charity to help youth in particular who were depressed, and he said it's compulsory. If you join my program, you must exercise in the morning. You must get out and walk or swim or run or bike ride. You go, why would he say that? Why would he do that? Why wouldn't he let them just lay in bed? Get outside in nature, the power of nature, and exercise so that you get the serotonin and the dopamine being stimulated, but also you are burning up all that accumulated adrenaline and noradrenaline, those stimulant internal neurotransmitters that you have to burn up, which as a caveman, you do it through the fight or the flight. But laying around in bed or playing computer games or doing nothing will not do it. So there's all sorts of great things happen, and ideally, of course, you do it with other people. So the whole idea of social support system and connection. Look, there's a lot I've talked about here in terms of fight or flight, stress, the stress response, taking responsibility. One, we say stimulus, response, where you are responding rather than reacting. It's the gap between stimulus and response. And again, if your sympathetic nervous system is down, as in you're not wound up, you have time, you take time to breathe before you respond, consciously respond to a situation versus react, yell, scream, cry, punch, storm out, whatever your particular reaction might be. We say respond and responsibility. Take responsibility for your response. Want to find out more, want to discuss this more, one, come to our Blokes Talk Beachside meetings that we run, particularly for men and men's mental health. Alternatively, you want to have a chat, then touch base. Leading your best life, certainly taking a look at that internal world, and if you're finding yourself on that slippery slope towards depression and ongoing unhappiness, take action. Do something about it. You are responsible for your mental health. I look forward to talking to you if and when you're ready. I'm Lee Farnell, and this is Leading Your Best Life. See you next time.